And welcome back, you amazing ad hominins, to your favorite podcast that you never listen to because we have like 150 listeners and all of them are in Poland for some reason. Today we have a very special guest. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Steve. You could call me Cariona if you want. I
He is
am here
actually
from the
the
U.S.,
Steve.
from New Jersey. Pleasure to meet everyone.
Yeah, he's actually the Steve. He's currently in the overworld right now, crafting blocks just for you guys. When the world finally succumbs to a global nuclear annihilation due to all the energy that we're burning for cryptocurrency, he'll have our world ready for us. So, Steve, tell us, what's today's soap of the day?
Okay, let's give the audience here a little bit of a history lesson. Back in ancient Egypt, they used to make soap with the papyrus plant. Oh, let's go back in time before crypto and get ourselves some historical soap.
Good old historical well, I should be able to say this. Papyrus soap. That was actually probably the best soap reading we've had. You know what? I'm firing bathroom and I'm firing pill, and then we're hiring you on full time, Steve. What's your rate?
Yeah, about 10 an hour.
10 an hour? Dang, that's too expensive.
Oh well.
No, the other two pay me. No, I'm kidding. So today, in case as you probably might have guessed from a mention of crypto, we'll be talking about crypto. As some of you may know, I am an homologous financial expert, and within crypto, I've been involved with that for a number of years. And Steve here is well versed within the legal sphere as well. So we thought, what is the best way to combine crypto with law legality? Today we're going to be talking about breaking me out of prison. I mean, the latest crypto legislation that just came to be. So specifically, we have three bills we'll be talking about. They're the Genius Bill, because, no idea why. It stands for Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoins. By the way, Steve, do you ever believe that they come up with the acronym first and then they try to make it fit the naming convention afterwards?
Yeah, that's pretty common. People like naming the bill something fancy so it looks good.
You said that you work. Sorry to ask a little bit more about your background. Do you work with any lawmakers by any chance, or anyone within Capitol Hill or within any legal occupation?
No, but I do a lot of political things, but mostly I I went to a few town halls, but that's about the extent of my experience with working on people on Capitol Hill.
Yeah, because I've always found that
I
you can
I
often.
did apply once to a internship at the White House, but they never got back to me.
They didn't. Oh, that sucks. We should send this directly to the president with the threat saying that this will show exactly why Steve should be hired, and if he does not, that we're gonna release the Epstein files. He doesn't need to know we don't have them. But something I was gonna ask was, it sometimes I do feel like the names of some of the bills where like the name is just like a phrase, and the phrase kind of sets a precedent for how they're trying to make this bill be perceived. One of the examples, I know I already mentioned the Genius Bill, which is kind of an homologous name for the acronym that it is. But one of them is also called the Anti CBDC bill, the Central Bank Currency Surveillance State Act bill, and it actually starts pretty strong because it calls itself the Anti Surveillance State Act, which is trying to establish, hey there, little guy, we see you, worried about big government. Don't worry, big government will protect you from big government. Don't worry about what the bill says.
Don't forget about the very famous Patriot Act as well.
The very famous
If you don't
Patriot
support
Act.
spying on people, you're not a patriot.
It's like, listen, you don't have any. There's nothing wrong. You're not doing anything wrong. You have nothing to hide today. Maybe tomorrow you're doing something wrong, and even if you stop doing it, we know you did in the past. So technically, you're a criminal in the future. We're one step closer to Minority Report as
Yeah.
two
Very
minorities.
good film, by the way. I suggest everyone watch it here.
Yeah. Oh, also, I'm going to cut this part from the podcast, but just to let you know, we just fully lie about our backgrounds over and over. Like I've said, I'm from New
Okay.
York, from Georgia, from New Jersey, from. I've lied about the reason we do so is because part of the podcast is just that our backgrounds don't matter. It's the content of what we say that matters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough.
Kind of like a spin on it's a little bit of a spin on the whole appeal to authority when someone gets a podcast guest on, they say, "Oh, they're an expert in this." So in our podcast, we're always an expert, but So
Yeah.
to go back to talking about the other two, we had the Surveillance State Act, we had the Genius Bill. We also have the Clarity Act, which is the Digital Markets Clarity Act, which focuses on the broader crypto market overall, says the SEC's role within it, and defines what is a currency or security. So we have one for stablecoins, one for the general crypto landscape, and one for disallowing the Federal Reserve. I actually have like a little bit of a theory about the anti the central bank currency surveillance state act bill. So, is there anything about any of the three bills and how they came to be in the process, or the reasons for them that you kind of you had thoughts on, or you want to jump on to let our listeners know about?
Nothing in particular really sticks out about the history. We are a few years behind Europe when it comes to crypto regulation.
You did mention
Even
that actually.
though, yeah, but I am I like it myself, right? I trade and all that. I did the same with the NFT, but one of the issues is just how much people use it for criminal activity and all that. How hard it is to trade, and it's also very good for manipulating. A lot of it, and a lot of the reason of the price changes for things like Bitcoin, Ethereum. Same thing with real estate. Just a lot of people guessing what it's gonna be. A lot of yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of guessing what it'll be. I even wrote that down in one of my notes. Wherever crypto will be, arbitrage will follow. People will game the system because if it's software, we can find a code for it. That brings us to today's video sponsor. I'm kidding, we don't have sponsors. But something I wanted to say, or that I was thinking about the Surveillance State Act, which it was baffling. It was very baffling because it disallows the Federal Reserve from creating a currency. Basically, it's Congress limiting the executive branch in a way. And then, especially with our current regime of the Donald J. Trump, father lord of whatever his meme coin is called, I wonder if this is potentially a ruse for ensuring the power from these regulators accumulate to only those intended to wield it, depriving Trump's detractors from benefiting, such as Powell. That was my original thought. But then I'm wondering if, obviously, we know that the president is trying to push forward pro crypto legislation. So I wonder if this bill is actually seeking to limit his power while giving him the other two bills to because after reading through them, I feel like they're fairly reasonable. Obviously, they have potential for abuse, potential for loopholes, especially in the Clarity Act, which I'll get moving on in a little bit. But I do believe that the third bill, the Anti Surveillance State Act, is by all accounts might just be made to put some limits on Trump's power so he doesn't create Trump USA coin and then make it federally backed.
Basically, already what happened with Argentina, pretty much.
Yeah, tell us a little bit
I
more
know
about
Malay
Argentina.
tried to make his own coin backed by the government, but that failed pretty badly.
Do you know the exact mechanism for which they failed? I didn't look into it specifically, but I know a little bit about tokenomics. I imagine was it too inflationary? Was it because it was a rug pull where too
It
few
was
people?
very much a rug pull. Very much a rug pull.
You know for a fact that Trump was looking at the headlines and thinking, salivating, thinking, man, I have a bunch of Americans. Imagine how big that rug pull would be.
Oh, he already did that. He already had a Trump and a Melania coin.
Yeah, he did, but he did that as like a private citizen. Imagine if he had the ability to do it for the federal level. It's like, this is America's cryptocurrency. This is, you can pay taxes on that, all that. And he owned 80%. He could literally steal so much money from the US economy and then just dip. He actually won't even need America anymore. That might be the only chance he'll
Indeed.
ever leave America.
Probably for a place like Argentina, which doesn't have an extradition treaty, no income tax.
I personally think he might go to Russia. I don't specifically know the reasons for it, but I believe that people have always made it known that he has a fondness for Putin, or at the very least, some type of admiration. I'm not quite sure. I've seen a lot of memes. This doesn't make me an expert, unfortunately, because if it did, oh, there'd be so many historians out there. So I know you also have the notes. Do you want to read in the background on some of the points that I wrote on the different bills, or do you want me to read through them and then we can both discuss either implications or thoughts that we had throughout them?
Um, where should we start, you think?
I think obviously starting from the top is a good bit because we talked a little bit about the Surveillance State Act already. We didn't say anything about the Genius or the Clarity Act, so let's start with the Genius bill since it lays out stuff for stablecoins.
Okay.
Inherently an easier thing to understand with a stablecoin, of course. I can give some background on stablecoins as well, which is just that oftentimes they're meant to be stable, meant to stay, while other cryptos have major swings, like swing for the fences, put all your money down, and you might be able to afford either a mansion or flipping McNuggets. That's the type of crypto that we're used to. But there's also stablecoins, which are algorithmically not really 100% sure what that means. I mean, I know what algorithmically means, of course, but it depends on which crypto and how they do it. Where they try to keep it at exactly $1. The reason for that is because if you always have to exchange $1 for another cryptocurrency, it can affect it because people always want to transfer it out. Versus a stable coin, it's already on the blockchain, it's much faster, and it can allow a little bit of arbitrage because of different liquidity pools and all that. But would you like to read the Genius Bill? Some of the notes we have. Do you want to popcorn read one on you, one on me, or just I go through, and then you can interject with any points that you have?
We can do back and forth if you want.
Okay. Uh, I'll start with the first point, just to jump it off. So it was
Okay.
basically saying that the definition of a digital asset is, as we know, a cryptographically secured distributed ledger. Now, those are very specific words. So it jumped out at me that it can include more than just crypto, and there might be some leeway for interpretation. It can include company databases because that can also be cryptographically secured and distributed and might even be public. They may
Yeah.
also contain records that are considered of value, such as customer information, masters of songs, as we know with Taylor Swift debacle, contracts, as well as open avenues for not including items, such as those which only have a few nodes. Which, you can argue it's not distributed. If it's within a company and they have all the nodes, it's not technically a crypto. Same thing for if a crypto only logs records from one source, it could technically not be distributed. That a little bit of a potential for abuse. If all the validators are within a private company, they wouldn't technically be considered a stable coin. It might be able to skirt regulations.
Okay. So next thing on the note here, which we have, it introduces a permitted payment stablecoin, which is different from the other payment stablecoins that already exist. Um, oh, I forgot the name of some of the others, but
Yeah, there was
in short, oh, you're gonna say something.
no, yeah. I was gonna say yeah. They allowed something called a permitted stablecoin. I actually forgot that I sent you the one where I already took a few points out, so I actually don't have that on my outline. So actually, because I thought it was surprisingly, it was unclear to me what it meant. If what a permitted use stablecoin was, so I just took that one out of my notes.
As far as I'm aware, with permitted, it's basically just you can use it for banking purposes. It can be widely accepted for business. It will be government backed in some way. Unpermitted coin would be generally government just let it be on its own. Won't mess with it at all.
Hmm.
Permitted will have a government backing though.
That would be very good. Imagine all those billions of dollars in Bitcoin that now people can start actually using. They don't have to transfer it to money, which also makes me wonder if there's an algorithmically derived coin that would allow Bitcoin to automatically be transferred into a payment source without actually technically being sold. Because if it's a one-to-one conversion, I very much wonder if that itself could be a way to skirt like the regulations where if you sell a Bitcoin, you must pay taxes on it because it's considered a sale.
Yeah. Though, even though nothing is algorithmically derived such as that as it is in the bill, There is a country like El Salvador in which a majority of people have Bitcoin wallets, and it is used for basically everyday activity. And you could buy milk with Bitcoin if you want.
Nice milky
And that is something
cryptography.
very interesting, which might come to the US here through this bill.
I can't imagine what it would be like to have a currency that can fluctuate so wildly in prices. I mean, the US dollar has always been relatively stable, and I know other countries have had very, very fluctuating currencies as well. So I guess Bitcoin can seem more stable than what they were used to, but I just can't imagine I can't imagine what that would be like for if I had $20,000 and then and I just wake up tomorrow and it becomes 14, or if I wake up and it turns into 30. I wonder if that might. I wonder if regular use might actually smooth that out, since there'd be a constant flow of money going in and out.
Probably will be. There are
Yeah,
also places like Argentina, not anymore, but used to be very high inflation, triple digit, and people used to buy Bitcoin to try to hedge inflation. Yeah, how bad the currency was.
yeah, of course, of course. Another,
Yeah.
going back to the bill, it said they also allow using the reserves, meaning whenever you have a stable coin, you have to have a 1-to-1, meaning if you create $1 of a stable coin, you must have $1 worth of USD or some type of backing in order to prove that it's real and not just funny money. And then so it does allow using reserves to ensure liquidity, which is sufficient to allow ongoing operation, such as using the money that people put in order to either invest it or allow, basically just allow the company to operate, allow the function to operate. You're allowed to use a little bit you're allowed to skim a little bit off the top, taste a little bit of that cream to make sure that the milk keeps flowing or something like that. I don't know, I never farmed before.
Hey, yeah, you're pretty much right in that regard.
Yeah,
So, shall we move on to the next one?
yeah, you can move on to the next point.
It allows using reserves to ensure liquidity, which is sufficient. Actually, no, you already mentioned that.
Yeah, I think I actually
Um,
accidentally combined the second two, the reserves as well as the requirements of issuance.
okay. You can use the reserve to ensure liquidity, but it may not exceed what is sufficient to ensure ongoing
I think
operation,
I accidentally
financial
combined all
integrity.
three in one.
Yeah, technically four, but who cares?
Yeah, yeah.
Moving on. Upon 10 billion in market cap transition to the federal regulatory framework, which is something similar to what the banks already use for online payments and such. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, so basically, this is America. We got some sun. I forgot that song is called by Childish Gambino, but basically, both when it comes to, and I think I'm combining another point that's later on as well in this moment, where if a issuer or if a certain stablecoin is below $10 billion, it's subject to whatever rules are in the state at which it's at, which, as we know with America, will cause some arbitrage of some people going to certain states for certain privileges and some leaving due to certain restrictions. But once you go above $10 billion, then you become subject to the federal limits. You can clear. We can see how this might be some potential for abuse, of course, right?
Yeah. When it comes to a state limit, I think eventually it'll end up like a Delaware situation when it comes to corporations, where right now, currently, half of all U.S. corporations are based in Delaware due to no income tax.
Yep,
And I
yep.
think something similar will come up when it comes to these crypto companies and people moving to get away from state level regulation.
And Delaware is quite a small state. You won't believe that they have so many corporations that every 10 foot has a corporation. You walk around Delaware, you run into a billionaire, you run into a SaaS company, you run into so many types of companies. Like it's so crazy that they have such wide open fields considering how many corporations are just jam packed in there. But you are very right. There'll be a Delaware situation. I wonder which. I think it's gonna be Ohio. I keep seeing ads for Ohio.
Especially when a Vivek comes in, because I do think he is the favorite for the governor's race right now. He completely wants to get rid of all crypto regulation. So I think Ohio is likely to be the next crypto paradise.
I think it's because Ohio needs something to do. Uh,
Yeah. Right now, it's just empty farms. pretty much. And Cleveland, but no one gives a damn about Cleveland.
And wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah. To summarize a few other points a little bit quickly, it says that it does reference an earlier act by financial services, which makes it murky about which federal agency has jurisdiction and oversight over large holding companies. It basically, I wasn't sure what that meant, so I just skipped over it. And then it said they will protect stablecoins from the claims of creditors, which is very interesting, which kind of, in a way, would make cryptocurrency bankruptcy proof.
Indeed.
Like you could hide all your assets within a stablecoin and then just buy out a stake, a custodian, and then I can see a lot of potential, especially not even just bankruptcy, in divorce, where cryptocurrency can't be taken. It can be kind of a shell vehicle.
I'm sure there is something that is going to make it a required to be reported on someone's financial information. So something like that doesn't happen. That's only to hide $1 billion away in stablecoin.
Yeah, but as we know with the U.S. legal system, the laws come and then the courts hammer out this specific. So I think that'll be one of the first few court cases talking about not allowing people to hide. Because if I, as a low-level regular person, am able to come up with this, there is definitely a lawyer who just had a golden opportunity at his divorce firm. He's about to start charging double his rate. He's like, "Hey, I can save all your money from your wife, even though you're the one who cheated on her."
And then they could retire happily, play golf every day, never need to work a case again.
And then they get stabbed by their ex-wife.
Yeah.
Which is actually peak soul. It's the perfect way to die. Go out in a blaze of glory and have a story for your children, who probably sided with their mother. Do you want to move on to the Clarity Act?
The Clarity Act, up to you. Do you think we should move on, or
I think we can. We spend a
do you
good.
think we should
spend a
make
good
our
amount of time.
audience sit through an hour or more of that, and maybe make them fall asleep in the process?
Very much so. Hey, lullaby podcasts are a thing, and then this way, while they're asleep, they can be absorbing the information. We're making them smarter in their sleep. In fact, that's what I'm going to make the title of this podcast. Steve makes you smarter in your sleep. Bonk. But yeah, we just spent a good amount of time talking about the Genius Bill, and then what I'm trying to do is kind of not just establish what they are, but also talk about specific things I, as a crypto, not a crypto professional, but as someone well versed in the space, can notice about these acts and potentials for abuse, or things that regular people might not be thinking of as they read it at face value. So you want to start it off with the Clarity Act?
For the Clarity Act, first thing mentioned here on the note, it specifies public source code, including private network blockchain.
Yeah, we discussed that a little bit, so then we can keep moving on.
Already, yeah.
It does also include smart contracts, which earlier there's a little bit of leeway. It's like, is it just crypto or is it also smart contracts? But it includes smart contracts.
Yeah. Now, if we go on off track a little, do you think that for the blockchain we should put the U.S. budget on it, which is something that Trump originally promised early on?
If we
And
put
I
the
think this might be one of the things that pushes it to that, put the entire U.S. budget on blockchain.
I
Make it open for transparency.
I hope he puts it on Solana. I am learning Solana coding for the blockchain specifically so I can hack that as fast as humanly possible. Can you imagine what
All right.
Can you imagine what this podcast would be like if I had the entire U.S. budget in the palm of my hands? I could finally start paying people.
Indeed.
Not you, though. Just me.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Next thing.
Yeah.
You first.
Yes, of course. It also mentions blockchain systems, which makes me wonder if someone builds an illegal contract or application on networks such as Solana or Ethereum, two blockchains I know how to code on, if the creators of these main chains can be dragged into any problem that will technically make them part of the system. The first court case will with this will set the precedent. So let's just say I make a little program that just takes all the money from the U.S. government because the U.S. government put all the money on the blockchain, and then I control the entire U.S. government, and I spend all of it on a giant tater tot, and I feed it to a bunch of sixth graders. Am I technically
Well,
exempt?
fortunately, in that regard, the MIMF unit with the Department of Justice already had you answered, which in yes, you will go to jail for the rest of your life.
Luckily, I won't
They
be
already
very long.
have some form of regulation about this, though they do want to get rid of that when it comes to the Clarity Act with some of the things that happened yesterday. They want to get rid of that regulation. So if it passes with the way that the Senate Banking Committee has it right now, yes, you can go free.
Oh, I'm waiting for that day. Oh, I'm about to make a name for myself today. I can't do that accent. Decentralized governance term, on the other hand, makes a point to separate individuals. So rather than blockchain system, it does make a point that individuals will be separate from this act than blockchain systems.
Yeah. I do think the U.S. Senate Banking Committee will get rid of the change, though, that they made yesterday, sadly, because it is easier to try to keep things in line with EU regulation, at least for the company, and do the same thing internationally.
Yeah, especially because crypto is one of the first few global things that was not originated in the U.S. So it's actually the first time the U.S. does not have a home field advantage, if you think about it.
Indeed.
Yeah, there's also there's some stuff about excluding custodians, liquidity providers, and validators from the Commodity Exchange Act, which might extend to mean that the contracts related to those activities are not subject to those regulations. To those a little bit less versed in crypto who don't know what I just said when I said custodians, liquidity providers, and validators, those are let's think of crypto less as a dollar and more of a computer. So things like custodians, liquidity providers, and the validators. Custodians are like the RAM. Liquidity providers are like the power source, and the validators are like the Wi-Fi. Those are all needed to make the cryptocurrency run. They're actually, I'd say, more so the infrastructure than actually participants in the network. They are the network. Without them being there, they wouldn't be crypto. Crypto is cryptographically secured, so you need a bunch of people there. Custodians, they're the ones who hold crypto in memory units for people who don't want to put it on their local device. You should always put it on your local device. The whole point of crypto is the fact that you own it, and you can't own it if you are not your own custodian. Liquidity providers are people who put up their own compute power or storage or even their money to allow it to be easier to exchange money. Let's say we had one Bitcoin and we had $2, and someone want to pull out $3 worth of Bitcoin. Well, we have to have a pool in the middle, a liquidity pool of like $10. And then they can reach into that pool to allow them to pull the dollars out and will allow, it'll allow it to flow. Now, this is a complicated topic, and I am not very smart or very good at explaining things, so look that up on your own. And validators are basically people who say, this block goes after this block cryptographically, it's secure. Yup, you're good.
Though, sadly for you, the custodian, it also says that after 6 months, they will need to change the rules on the bill. So maybe, just maybe, you will be screwed over by the government yet again in that regard.
Screwed over by the government. Who has ever had that happen to them? Said all the Native Americans, uh, more groups that I just immediately can't think of off the top of my head for some reason. But trust me, there are a lot. Um, it gives some accounting guidance that any client assets are to be held as liabilities. Very nice of the government to give our little number crunchers a nice definitive little nugget of things on how to do their job. They're like, you number crunchers, we'll give you this one. It's a liability. I know that was really hard for you, big guy. I'm actually an accountant, so this self-depreciating humor. So it also makes these trading hubs provide us with cute little accessible educational bites. So Big Daddy government said we must be disciplined in how it works, from the scary risks and traditional financial markets versus digital, the reporting requirements, and how to keep our money not safe. Basically, anyone who takes our money, whether it be Coinbase or Gemini or certain wild-haired Bahamanian, they need to give you little.
Personally, I use Robinhood, but
Oh
each
yeah,
their
yeah.
own.
Robinhood has crypto as well. Well, it's gonna make them require. It's gonna require them to give you like little educational information on how the crypto works, liquidity. Basically, it's gonna make you wait. Actually, I wrote it further down. It's gonna make you teach the customer about how it operates, its functionality, its market value derivation, governance system, and current rules. And to those in the know, that's called a white paper. So basically, regular cryptos already are good because they have a white paper, and then all they have to do is just make it more, I don't know, reader friendly instead of the 30 pages I have to read every single day. But that's so basically the government said, crypto, crypto, you're a brand new industry. We'll give you this rule that you have to do, despite the fact you've been doing this the entire time. We're gonna make you do this anyway. Yeah.
Better safe than sorry, I guess. But
True. I suppose not every crypto has a white paper, but it's kind of well known that if a crypto doesn't have a white paper, you should invest in it, including rug pulls, actually. That
yeah,
being said, I might be talking out my ass here, but I believe a lot of influencer cryptos don't have white papers.
most of them do not. No.
Yeah. And so this app also cannot apply to, let me read this shit right here, commodities contracts, swaps, securities futures, options, or leverage transactions. So just to let you know, the U.S. government said degenning on crypto is more than kosher. Like they're like, hey, listen, we're trying to protect you, but if you want to go balls to the wall and just gamble your entire future, you go right on, like the goddamn American that you are.
Indeed.
Yeah.
With great risk comes great reward, after all.
Yep.
You could either gain it all or lose it all.
That is exactly what Spider-Man's niece said, or nephew, or barber. So I there was also some filing on mature blockchains, which I will use AI to read and figure out what that means because I am a modern American as well. So some of the insights are the mature blockchain's additional information, which is the value must be derived from the use and functioning of the blockchain, which is kind of a nothing statement because that's inherently how the value of blockchain come from. True, it can come from hype, but you can just lie. It's not like you can prove that's like, oh, this value had to have come from the blockchain, not from hype. Like, how would you even prove that it comes from hype versus the blockchain?
Well, with the case with Malay, on top of his tweet about it, he also paid a bunch of news agencies to go and write about it, about how it's the next big thing. So perhaps someone could just pay a news site off to write an article about your crypto.
Which I'm pretty sure they already do. And interestingly, in terms of paying someone to talk about your crypto, one of the requirements to be considered a mature blockchain, which, just to remind you, makes you exempt from a lot of reporting requirements and also prevents certain government oversight and monitoring of your situation, is that someone on the inside must certify that it is a mature system. You must pinky promise, double dog swear that this is a mature system. But if the SEC doesn't reject that pinky promise within 60 days, it is deemed mature. So basically, if they run out of time, you become mature for no reason other than the fact that they were busy. There is some ability of a system. I feel like there's going to be an ability for a system that should not reach designation to be labeled as mature because of the opacity. Okay, I just said a whole bunch of nothing. What I'm trying to say is I feel like some people are going to hide the ownership structure because one of the requirements is that it must be not centrally controlled, so to prevent some rug pulls. But because of how hard it is to prove ownership, you know, offshore accounts, shell companies, just do that with crypto. Just have a bunch of ownership structures that makes it seem like the control is fragmented when they're all related legal entities. It also said the secondary trading of securities rather than primary is outside of the SEC purview. So maybe Jake Paul should have said that he was buying the cryptocurrency directly from someone else and then he was releasing it for sale to his fans. Technically speaking, that would also be a loophole. Technically speaking, he should
Yeah.
hire me to come up with these ideas.
The world needs more lawyers and accountants, after all.
And I am neither. I am a criminal. Okay, the best way to catch a criminal is to use another criminal, and the best way to get rich is to also use a criminal, and the best way to become the president of the United States is also to become a criminal.
Indeed.
Hey, it's the most lucrative career path if you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So airdrops also do not count as a sale or an offer of security as long as it's not exchanged for value. I have no insights about that. That is just a fact. It also said that insiders must be involved with lockups and sale limitations for a mature blockchain, and they only allow a set percentage of sales at a certain time. However, this percentage that they are allowed to sell is going to be determined by future rule, not statute. Meaning, whatever becomes normal for developers to start selling, even if it's like 50 or 60%, will become the norm, which is interesting that Congress has decided that they're going to only give the SEC 60 days to reject a mature designation, but they are going to allow the cryptocurrency as a whole industry as a whole to decide how much they want insiders to lock up their crypto for. I see absolutely no conflicts of interest in either of those.
None at all.
Yep. And I also anticipate there being an entire industry involved in getting blockchain to faux maturity. I'm doing air quotes right now, as quick as possible, after which time the monitoring goes away and restrictions are eased, as I mentioned earlier. And as you know, as I said earlier, where crypto is involved, say with me, class, arbitrage and degen gaming will follow. Now, one method, now, hey, I'm not giving anyone any ideas, and if there's anyone at the State Department listening, one method may be overloading regulators or taking advantage of slow periods to push your projects through, since there is a legal precedent for how long before the application goes through. This may incentivize certain organizations to obfuscate how many cases they are working on within the federal government. So, hey, yo, government, you might want to not tell people how many cases you're working on or how behind you are. Because, you know, Pizzagate, how they decided if there was a national security issue or national foreign aid or policy issues by this one Pizza Hut right outside the Pentagon being super busy. Yeah, Pizzagate with the CIA, but for crypto. I think this is the
Yeah.
first. Yeah, I think this ruling about the 60 days is going to be the first to be overturned and amended because it will erode rather than build trust. We will get so much quantity of bad crypto projects that it's just going to actually make it worse. Actually, it's going to reduce consumer trust rather than build it. And as you know, that probably is the ethos of what Congress decided when they made the bill, or the Senate. I forgot who made it.
How do they expect to give them only 60 days when the IRS can't even get back to me in 90 days about a form to start up a business?
You,
They
you,
like a 2-page form.
you believe in the IRS? I'd never.
If only I could commit tax fraud, but sadly, I don't want to end up like, I
Al
don't want to
Capone.
end up dead.
Al Capone.
Yeah.
Don't forget they caught Al
Well, they
Capone.
got him a mail fraud.
Oh yeah,
So,
they got him on mail fraud. I forgot about that. That's even lamer somehow.
yeah.
Yeah, and then we already talked a little bit about the Anti-Surveillance State Act, how it's trying to establish itself as the hero American crypto needs. So it's very straightforward. It just says the Federal Reserve can't offer any products to individuals or use any products to do monetary policy. It also adds that these amendments to the Federal Reserve Act make updates to the Treasury's. Never mind. I don't know what I wrote there, so we're going to skip that. So some AI insights. It said that there's exceptions for an open, permissionless, privacy-protected currency, meaning there's a loophole. I don't know what that means, but there's a loophole.
Everything in a loophole. It's how the rich get rich. If you
Yeah.
don't abuse the The loophole, you're not going to get rich in life. You're not going to be
I try to abuse everything. I think if you just abuse the loopholes, you'll get rich very slowly. If I abuse everything, I'll get rich very quickly.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's why I keep like. I was gonna make a joke that I'm like, well, actually, that didn't make any sense. I was gonna say I keep little mushrooms under my desk and I step on them to make sure that they're abused at all times. I don't know how it's gonna make me rich, but it will make me rich. Step 1, put mushrooms under desk. Step 2, stomp on them to make them feel abused. Step 3, question mark. Step 4, profit.
Even if you don't profit monetarily, you still profit mentally. It still makes you happy.
Exactly.
That's all that matters.
Abuse is a state of mind. Being an abuser is a state of mind. It doesn't matter what you do; it matters how you feel. That's really everything about the bills and a little bit of the insights that I could think of. Steve, is mine? Is there any Minecraft coin facts that you would like to share with the audience?
Unfortunately, despite my name being Steve, I do not think I've ever played Minecraft, at least not in a long time.
You're fired.
So I do not have any info to give any of you. And the one thing I am not an expert in.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first, folks. Steve is a fraud. We will be going to his house with pitchforks and knives, and a little bit of bacon. The bacon's more.
And I will escape to Argentina.
He's
so
in
good luck
Argentina.
finding me.
You know what that means? We gotta storm all of Argentina. Lionel Messi. Actually, guys, there's a little secret. Steve is secretly just Lionel Messi. I think he's
maybe.
I think he's Argentinian.
You never know.
Definitely as handsome as him. Do you think there's any other? I just have the word Oregon on here. I don't know why I wrote that. I remember you had something about that.
Oh, right. Yeah. About Oregon. They are thinking right now, at least the favorite for governor in 26, being the first state to put a tax on unrealized gains. And I think that will severely hurt the crypto market.
I definitely believe it will as well.
Yeah. No one will do business there. Not a single company will go there. The people there that make most of the money on crypto are probably going to move to Northern California or Idaho.
I think they're going to undo that, though. Oregon is fairly liberal, and I believe that crypto tends to be more liberal leaning. I think.
I'd say crypto's more conservative based on the people I know, but maybe it just depends on the area.
I think it's because I always consider it to be a very high-tech system, so I always consider that to be more of a liberal leaning. But you might be right. You may be right. I guess maybe they're doing that on purpose. Maybe they don't want to deal with any crypto people. But to be fair, also, if they put a tax on unrealized gain, they will lose absolutely all their millionaires, billionaires, and high earners. But maybe that's on purpose.
Indeed.
Maybe they're literally trying to create a lawless state. I mean, when you think lawlessness, what's the first thing you think? Portland, Oregon.
Indeed.
Yeah, I think that's the last insight that I had. Steve, do you have anything else to leave us with the audience?
Unfortunately, I do not.
All right, well, you heard it here first. Make sure to wash your hands, flush, wipe, and we'll talk to you all next time. Peace. That was really good.
Adios.